Hi, my name is Megan Atufle, and I make interactive floors and walls for a living using software that my friends and I invented called LUMOplay. LUMOplay comes with a bunch of different templates that you can use to make your own creative interactive effects for floor and wall using your own graphics and without any sort of coding. So it's very easy to make a custom interactive floor or wall effect. What I made today is an 8-bit tile flip effect. So the tiles are the same size as the actual pixels in these images. And when you walk across the floor or you walk in front of a wall, the environment, the background image changes. I'm really interested in how people respond to this and whether or not you'd like to see me do it with videos instead of still images. Let's head over to the wall, see what it looks like there, and then I'll show you how I made this effect. So this is the same experience on my wall instead of my floor, and obviously it makes a lot more sense on the wall because these are background images. The thing that I see this applying to as a really cool addition is an interactive background changer for live theater. All you have to do is wave your hand and boom, you're in a new place. I really think that the tile flip lends itself super well to the pixel art sort of style, but there's a lot of other styles that you could explore with this type of a transition. And there's also other transitions that we could add as templates. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of making this video, is to show you a cool effect that I made recently, ask your opinion about what I could do to make it cooler, add animation, for instance. Should those clouds be moving? Should the environments all be the same place but just different seasons and times of day? I would really like to come up with some other cool ideas for this template, but I'd love to get community feedback for that. And I can show you how you can also start experimenting with this template so that you can make something for your next event or for your next performance. It's way easier than you think. Come on over to my design computer and I'll show you how I made this. A couple of notes before we get started. When you're using LUMOplay's Motion Maker templates to design custom content, it's really important to make sure that your computer's aspect ratio and resolution is the same as whatever the projector or display that you're using in your final installation is going to be. So if the projector in your wall installation or your floor installation is 1920 by 1080, just make sure that you set the resolution on your design machine to that resolution as well, and also create your graphics at that size, because there's really no sense in making 4K graphics if your installation is 1920 by 1080. It'll just slow everything down. Once you've done that, you can choose one of 2 paid LUMOplay software licenses to do this in. I'm using LUMOplay Maker because it's our agency tier and it allows me to make and publish as many apps as I want to without having to pay. If you are just making 1 or 2 things, or you don't make things very often, you're doing it for, like, say, a birthday once a year, Lumo Playground is all you really need, and then there's a small publishing fee that comes out to around $80 American. So you can make a custom app and pay as you go under that model and still benefit from the low cost of Lumo Playground, which we sell at cost. So if you have any questions about using any of these tools, you can leave information in the comments, and I'll also put all of the hardware that I use on both my floor and my wall, just in case you're interested in what I use to make my interactive floors and walls. And again, definitely in comments, leave questions. I really like answering questions. If you have questions, ask me the questions. Okay, so let's get started. Motion Maker is where you're going to find all of the templates, and the template that I'm going to use today is way at the bottom. It's called Tile Flip. I'm going to click Create, and I'm going to skip a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to put a name in here, 8-bit background flip. That sounds like what it is. And then overlay is going to be where you put things like logos, calls to action. If you want to have a little message on here that's like move to start or change the background or whatever you wanted to put, you can add that as an overlay. You can even turn on and off animations for it, and it'll disappear when people start playing with your effect. You can see me using this in some of my other tutorials, but I'm not going to use it in this one. And then the mask is another really interesting overlay to know about. If you wanted to make an effect that is an irregular shape, that's what you would do. So if I wanted to make something that was not just a rectangle, like say I wanted it to be a circle or a triangle or some other third shape, what I would do is make a mask that has a black background in the shape that I want it to be and a transparent area in the middle, and save it as a PNG. All of the graphics that I'm using are PNGs. So we're not using overlays. We're just gonna throw in a bunch of tiles. I'm gonna delete the tiles that are there. I wanna grab them all at once. Whoop. There we go. And you can see the individual pixels. They're all sized exactly the same from image to image. What I did was I found a really cool tutorial about how to use Adobe Illustrator to make pixel art. And so I'll link that in the description too, just in case anyone's interested. It was a really fun process, really simple. The tutorial's great. Her whole channel is great. I recommend that you follow it if you're a designer. And I know for a fact that I made all of my images to be 160 pixels across and 90 pixels high. So I'm just gonna put those numbers in here so that the little squares, the tiles match. So when I move this, you can see that the tiles are like lined up with the pixels that I created. And also you can see that it's super slow. So let's fix that next. So I've done everything I can do in the tiles section. I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna open flipping. I'm gonna turn all of this stuff way down. And that's gonna make it go a lot faster. It won't look as fast on this computer as it does on my installations for two reasons. One, this is a really old Surface. I love it, but it's hot. It doesn't like doing this kind of work. And then the other is that this is a much smaller screen, so it just doesn't, the movement doesn't seem like it's going as far. This is one of the things that I wanted to make this tutorial for, is like, if you have suggestions on how to make this more interesting, one of the things that I think would be cool is if you started this and then you could start the third one by touching it. But as you can see, you can't do that because the way this template was built, it only has two images on either, like one image on either side at a time. So we'd have to build something completely new from scratch. And just because there's only a few of us and we have to pick our battles, the only way that we ever get to make something better or new, make something new, is if people ask us to do it. So if you think that it would be cool to, say, make a video instead of an image, or to create something where I can flip to that next image, or it can just continually go through different images, let me know in the comments. That's how we prioritize what we work on. This is all done, so I'm just gonna click save, close this. It'll save with a nice little thumbnail, and then I click publish. And when you hit publish, it's gonna give you a warning that you can't edit your effect once it's made. You can't edit your effect once it's made. So make sure you test it. Make sure that you know that it's done, especially if you're using a Playground license, because you're gonna have to pay every single time you do this. Playmaker, it's not as big an issue because you can just make a new version, but it still sucks when you have to constantly change it. So just test it. Just plug in your projector, do whatever you have to do, test it before you click this little checkbox. I'm clicking the checkbox and I'm all done. Now I can enjoy this effect on every single one of my installations. Leave a comment if you want to see me use it in a puppet show or a live performance. I hope you enjoyed this week's tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it. I really want your feedback about this effect and the different things that we might be able to do with it, and whether or not you'd like to see videos or something else besides 8-bit images made with the tile flip effect. Just leave a comment below, and if you like this kind of content and you want to support our company's mission to make interactive floors and walls as affordable as possible, you can download our software, a free evaluation copy, from LUMOplay.com. You can contact me directly at info@lumoplay.com. And it really, really helps us if you hit like, subscribe to the channel, or share this video with one of your friends who you think might be interested in making these kinds of effects. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer every comment, and I'll be back next week with another tutorial.